I'm not ashamed to admit that I like to rewatch Disney films just for fun, or that playing childhood classics brings me more joy than eating an entire pizza alone. Some of these films and games have ruined the innocence of my childhood, revealing a dark side I never knew existed. If you're under the age of 18, I'm sure your friends have already told you about this stuff, or make sure that your parents have given you permission to access this video. Here, we'll uncover 10 adult jokes you never caught in video games. Your leveling up in both age and wisdom allows you to see the darker side of these childhood classics. Adulting level unlocked. If you've been playing video games since before the invention of curse, you're in the right place. Why not consider subscribing to our channel? We like the classics just as much as you do. Although we'll never reveal our true age, we hope that you'll enjoy the notification squad to get updates on new releases. Ratchet and Clank, up your arsenal. It was mating season. Ratchet and Clank was a staple game for Sony back in the early 2000s. And it's no wonder, because the game featured tons of hilarious dialogue, great one-liners, and players quickly enjoyed the fast-paced gameplay and interaction between characters. Trust me when I say that Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal had plenty of adult humor that probably went way over our heads as youngsters. I'm certain that between the jokes about Ratchet's good hands and Captain Quark's banana, they were probably aiming for their humor to go right over the head of younger gamers. Meanwhile, we were too young to comprehend all the golden comedic writing. There was one joke in particular, though, that even our innocent minds couldn't have missed by the time we played the game. The short dialogue between Scrunch and Captain Quark left gamers stunned. Scrunch, who was Captain Quark's Cyclops monkey sidekick, gets the shock of his life when Quark says, "It was mating season. How could I have known she was your sister?" Does that mean our favorite Q-Force captain is actually into bestiality and other strange fetishes? Apparently so, after he admitted this dark secret to his sidekick. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at Captain Quark the same again. Final Fantasy 15. The seal is broken. Final Fantasy 15 is the newest game added to the series, and we are so glad that we're now adults who can enjoy all the underhanded comedy of this game. I don't know if it's just that I'm older or if the adult jokes are more prevalent here, but there is some great writing done in the latest Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 15 is an open-world role-playing game that has a mesmerizing environment and the best graphics that my eyes have ever had the pleasure of partaking in. I'll stop drooling over the visuals of Final Fantasy 15 now and get to the juicy parts. The adult joke that you may have missed had you not been paying attention takes place when you're trying to unlock the 8 sealed doors that are part of the Lucian frontier. The characters involved are Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. Gladio starts off the dialogue by saying, "Finally making some headway," and Ignis responds with, "At last, we have broken the seal." Prompto answers, "Yeah, I don't think that means what you think it means," and Ignis says, "It means we have to go." Okay, so maybe it doesn't mean anything, and it's just a bad translation, but it kind of feels like Final Fantasy attempted to insert a joke targeting heavy drinkers into an amazing game. The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Pedophile and Link. It was Majora's Mask that finally made me give in to the idea that there was something a little bit adult happening in the game. Adult as in, why are there children playing games where your reward is getting stuffed between Cremia's lady parts and her nonchalantly making crude jokes to you? Cremia is undeniably a weird force to be reckoned with in the game. I mean, she already reveals to us that she has a crush on Kafai, who's Anju's fiancé. Let's not forget that Anju is Cremia's best friend. We kind of feel sorry for Cremia in a way because she is the main support system for her younger sister, Romani, and is forced to take care of the Romani ranch after her father dies. If there's a secret happening in the game, it's definitely taking place at the ranch. In the game, things start to heat up when Link is asked to accompany Cremia to deliver some milk to the town's milk bar. Link has to help Cremia pass the Gorman Trail, where the tricky Gorman brothers await them. Once he does this, Cremia rewards him with Romani's mask, a sign that he's now an adult, and a very intense hug. Link internally says, "You feel all warm and fuzzy inside." You could get used to this. Your innocence is now destroyed, and we will welcome you to adulthood with open arms. There are no rupees here, just bizarre frustration and denial await you at the end of this quest. Just kidding. This is a Zelda game. There are always rupees aplenty here. Super Mario RPG. Toad's Secret Stash. This game was probably the beginning of my RPG obsession when it was released in 1996. It was the first RPG-style game released in the Mario series, and it strangely reminded me a lot of the original Final Fantasy. The gameplay in the original Final Fantasy series had the enemies as static characters instead of animated, just like Culex in Super Mario RPG. The story focuses on everyone's favorite little guy in a red plumber suit, Mario, questionably of Italian descent? But that's a topic for a later discussion. Mario and his friends are trying to eliminate a bad guy by the name of Smithy. Smithy has stolen 7 star pieces of Star Road, so none of the characters' wishes can become wish stars. Yes, only Mario can save the wishes, and some of those may have been a bit naughtier than what we were anticipating. Take for instance Toad. You thought Toad was this cute, innocent character? Not so much in Super Mario RPG, when Mario accidentally stumbles upon his secret stash labeled Toadstools XXX. Okay, so it was censored in the American version to 3 question marks, but we all truly believe that Toad has hidden a bunch of adult photos of Peach. Why else would Toad immediately enter gameplay and get angry with your character? He tells you, "I'll give you this in exchange, just leave everything where it was." In return for keeping Toad's secret, he gives you a familiar Mario World mushroom, or in other words, some powerful hallucinogens. Just another day playing Mario RPG as an adult. It now makes sense why Toad required guards to keep his secrets safe in the game. Crash Twinsanity, Dr. Neocortex, uncle/father? This was one of the craziest and most bizarre games in the Crash Bandicoot lineup, taking place 3 years after the events of Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, where you leave Dr. Neocortex stranded in the Antarctic Sea. If you remember in Twinsanity, Insanity Island is suddenly invaded by the evil twins, and Crash and Dr. Neocortex are forced to create an alliance to stop the sinister duo from their evil plans. In this game, we also get to meet Cortex, the supposed niece of Dr. Neocortex, but there's something fishy going on between these two and their questionable family ties. Dr. Neocortex accidentally lets a big secret slip in the game when he says, "My niece." It leads us to believe that they may actually have a father and daughter relationship that's been kept secret even from Nina. Also, it's seriously possible that Cortex could have been sleeping around with his brother's wife, which makes sense as to why he'd need to keep such a big secret. We know that Neocortex's backstory revealed that he had struggles with his family, and after the freak explosion wiped out everyone, besides apparently his brother, we kind of question if sleeping with the wife wasn't some weird revenge for Neocortex. On a side note, his real name is Neo Periwinkle Cortex. Is it any wonder he wanted to be an evil, mad scientist set on ruling the world? Animal Crossing: New Leaf. Stoner character Pascal. Animal Crossing New Leaf came out in 2012 as a simulation game created by Nintendo, and although this wasn't the first game of the expansive series that players immediately fell in love with, it was arguably one of the best. I mean, who doesn't want to be in control of a town of anthropomorphic animals? Animal Crossing may have the appearance of a child's game, but dig deeper and you'll find a certain complexity to the game, including a dark element where you can quickly fall into debt, your animal friends will ditch you for better towns, and a love triangle between seagulls that even the best soap opera writers may have trouble coming up with. Some of these animals are also questionably into illegal activities. The citizens of your town are forgetful, and they'll constantly be asking you to deliver mysterious packages to neighbors. It seems somewhat peculiar if you ask me. You'll meet Pascal and immediately notice something a bit off about the lazy otter. You'll also question if Animal Crossing New Leaf had another audience in mind to play their game besides children. It's arguable that Pascal the otter may possibly be a reference to the French philosopher Blaise Pascal, but his hippie-like lifestyle says otherwise. He'll appear in the game between 6 a.m. and 12 a.m. as he brags to you about his traveling adventures in what he refers to as the Connected Sea, enjoying the company of strangers and eating scallops. He might seem odd until he starts saying things like, "If you try something new, it's not new anymore, man." Pascal, your wisdom seems to be coming from some higher knowledge that we may not partake in. Pokemon Sun and Moon. Kukui's innuendos. Pokemon Sun and Moon definitely knows their audience, as most of the original players are adults now, who just can't seem to stop playing their favorite childhood game. Also, most of us can still sing the theme song for Pokemon, but we can't write a check because, technology happened. To be completely serious, Pokemon did teach us a lot about life and how to be a master of our own fate. It's completely easy to see why it was such a big part of the 20 to 30-year-old fanbase. If you enjoyed the original Pokemon game, you'll especially love that this new one released in November of 2016 is packed full of adult humor, all completely hard to spot unless you're really paying attention. Case in point is Professor Kukui and his risque lab attire. If you play the game, you'll get what I mean. Kukui enjoys a bit of the unconventional, especially when it comes to research methods. Asking Pokemon to try out his moves on his rock-hard abs and the whole lab shaking like an earthquake is struck while he says the following does not help quiet our imaginations. "Give it everything you got. My body's ready. Woo!" Yes, we're not completely sure of your innocence here, Professor Kukui, but you sure know how to deliver a perfectly timed innuendo. Captain Rainbow. Birdo's mission. Captain Rainbow was released in Japan in 2008 and sadly never reached an international market. If you want to play the game, you'll have to deal with playing entirely in Japanese, which can be fun at times as you can make up your own stories if you're not a language ninja capable of reading Japanese. In Captain Rainbow, you're playing as an ordinary guy who also has an alter ego called Captain Rainbow, and in order to regain popularity, you must befriend a bunch of island inhabitants. C-list Nintendo characters. If you remember Birdo from the Mario-verse, you'll remember that he or she was a bit of a transvestite character. A male dinosaur that was pink and enjoyed wearing ribbons and bows. In Captain Rainbow, you're sent on a mission to help Birdo be freed from their prison because of their identity crisis. You'd think that when you're sent to a room to find proof that you'd come back with an ID card or a birth certificate or maybe some eggs. But what you discover is a censored object hidden under a vibrating pillowcase. None other than Birdo's vibrator. If a childhood game turned a character dark and strange, Captain Rainbow is the one that defied odds. Super Mario Kart, Drunk Bowser and Belligerent Peach. Super Mario Kart was a great game for Nintendo and their fans. Being first released in 1992, it followed with quite a bit of success with the games that followed the original. Who could say no to racing their friends in a quest to see who would rule as Mario Kart champion? You were able to choose from a multitude of your favorite Nintendo characters and play on some deceivingly challenging maps. If you played the original Mario Kart game in Japan, it may have looked a little bit different than in America because in the end credit animation of the Winner's Cup, both Peach and Bowser would get rip-roaring drunk off a bottle of champagne. Nintendo of America's police on alcohol depiction and consumption made the US versions of Bowser and Peach a bit tamer by changing the animations to make the characters either toss the bottle of champagne or have vines growing out of them. What could be better than a drunken antagonist and his favorite victim having a few drinks and laughs together as they celebrate their Mario Kart dominance? Let's face it, those two had the fastest cars in the game. Terraria, Golden Shower. Terraria became an instant hit with anyone that enjoyed playing hours of sandbox video games, adding a 2D action-adventure element to the genre that was easy to become addicted to. You'd delve into deep, cavernous expanses to create a city only you could imagine. Terraria has had a few secret adult elements that have gone way over the heads of the children since its release in 2011. If you've played the game during Halloween, you'll understand what I mean by that. The nurse seemed to have a certain other profession where she couldn't give you a happy ending, and also if you didn't have enough coins to be healed, she would straight up be honest and let you know that you couldn't afford her. I think it's the golden shower weapon that makes quite a visual statement in the game though. If you're an adult, you'll know that there's a certain fetish floating around that this weapon may or may not be based off of. Although the golden stream that sprays from the hard mode weapon does appear to have a naughtier backstory, it definitely has a power-packed punch capable of hitting 5 enemies at a time. Oh, and you can also change the direction of the flow just in case you're not entirely satisfied with the aim of the golden shower. Thanks for watching. What have you noticed as an adult while replaying some of your favorite games? Or any characters or scenes in particular that you feel deserve to be on this list for their adult humor? If you enjoyed learning about all the naughty secrets of some of our favorite video games, then don't forget to join us next time. You know, what'd be even better is if you'd like our video and subscribe to our channel.